We have to look at each other in the eyes.
I can look at your forehead.
I
It
was
was,
gonna
but
say,
yeah, I'll just look past you.
Hi, I'm Martine Remi.
Hi, I'm Myles Tate-Alsgaard.
When was the time that you felt most connected to others?
When was the time I felt most connected to others? That's difficult to say. I guess when I was in the artist collective program in Hartford, when I was playing jazz music, because I've never really been around people that really appreciated the music just as much as I did. Because it was mostly just people in school that were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick up this instrument because I have to, I was told to." But spending several hours playing an instrument every day with people is making you feel really close to them, especially when you're in an ensemble like that.
I think two things come to mind. Working the drag show the last 2 years at UConn was a really connecting experience because it's this huge show in the Jorgensen, and we're not, well, not all of us are used to working in the Jorgensen, and it's this big theater, and you have people who've been on like live television coming in and performing drag and stuff, and we're all just supporting them and making sure they get everything they need, and it was really fun to work together with my entire staff at the Rainbow Center and like, watch people perform, and then to see my friends a lot of the time perform. I've had a lot of, like, friends who decided to become student performers and do, like, their first drag performance there.
That's cool. How does your identity promote connections or disconnections?
Well, I'm trans and queer, so a lot of what I do is centered around community and being with the queer community. I feel a lot more connected when I'm working on an all, like, non-man or an all queer team. And so it's been interesting to navigate the department here with like the different people who have different identities and finding like my queer friends in film and working on projects with them.
For me, I think being mixed, I think my connections have been kind of difficult because of that. I mean, in the sense that I never felt like I really fit in either place, specifically being white and being black, trying to find people that I could connect with and didn't like see me as too light or too dark was is difficult. But I think now, kind of coming into my identity as a mixed person, as someone that is in the arts, I'm finding more connections, like even just this thing that we're doing right now is building those connections that I didn't really have before now. It's it makes it easier to be able to express myself and talk about having these difficulties in the past and kind of growing from that, and that kind of the difficulties that I have had have promoted better connections now than in the past.
What was your experience with isolation going into college?
Oh my gosh, like the entire experience. I mean, I was up in Maine, away from my family, my friends that I made in high school. Lockdown from COVID. I mean, it was the most isolating experience of my entire life. I mean, I was stuck in my dorm room for a month, and like they put food out, and you had to go out like a little gremlin and then grab it and then scurry back into your room at assigned times. Like you didn't get to talk to anybody. There's no like onboarding, like everyone coming to college. We're gonna have talk. We're gonna meet people. Like no, just like you're gonna be stuck here, and that's gonna be your life for like a month or more.
I was in high school still when COVID hit, so I had isolation in high school, and then it was okay going into college, but I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anybody who's going to UConn, and it was my first time away from home, and I'm also an only child. So I was sharing a room for the first time, and I didn't have like my parents right there for the first time. So I was just trying to figure out how can I make friends and figure out what's going on right now because I'm a baby little freshman and I don't know anything about college. And so that was, I wouldn't say it was as isolating as if it had been COVID. I think I would have really been in the trenches if it
Yeah,
had
no,
been during COVID.
trenches for sure was for COVID time, I would say.
Yeah, but it was still, it was rough to figure out how to make connections by yourself.
Yeah, certainly.
How do you explore connections or disconnections through your art?
I think that's the main way I connect with people is through my art. I mean, I love to write. I love to share my writing with people. I've stopped asking for critique on my writing because people are just like, I don't want to put effort into reading your stuff. Being able to talk about, especially I use it to express my faith too, and being able to talk about it without it being like obtrusive or like, here's a pamphlet, I'm going to hand this to you kind of
Yeah.
thing. And especially like I also draw and stuff like that too. I mean, it's a way of people like look at that, say like, I like that, maybe I'll like you, or even like, you're having these conversations about, pieces of art, and, it's just such a great way of connecting because it's saying things that can't be said
Mhm.
when you even if it is writing, there's such, like, layers underneath every single thing you do when you're writing or drawing or painting or anything like that, even, like, filming. I mean, there's so much intricacies to each of these things that makes it so much easier to connect with people because it's going beyond words and to something that kind of touches your soul in a way.
I think I'm lucky in that a lot of the classes here at UConn are structured so that we have to give feedback, and usually people are pretty good about giving constructive feedback and not just throwaway stuff. But I do create, like you, a lot of my art is representation and stories that I would have wanted to be told when I was younger. Let's say, like, when I was first leaving my religion or when I was first coming out or whatever, or, like, first diagnosed with ADHD, something like that. I would have loved those stories, and so I try to make art that brings those stories to somebody else.
Yeah, I think I saw something recently. It was about like it was an environmental activist, like that was talking about like how important it is that these pieces of art exist, like talking about Watership Down
Yeah.
and how you're able to you're even if talking about people artists that have passed, your art outlives you and it can inspire people after you. And I think that's why I keep despite like the struggles I have with writing and like trying to even just put the pencil to paper,
Yeah.
like you keep doing it because it could change someone's life and it changes your life when you're putting it out there in the world.
Yeah. I definitely agree.